Good morning. Dr. Gary here. We are speaking from Ireland. We're on the road. We are visiting dental offices here and finding out about dental practice brokerage. We are nationwide dental practice brokers, maybe someday, and we'll be worldwide. But we are trying. So we're in Ireland visiting dental offices and getting different experiences and seeing how everything is transacted here. We're calling you, this is a beautiful lake out here. We're calling from outside the area of Killarney. I think we're about 45 minutes outside of Killarney, Ireland. It's absolutely gorgeous. So we've now been, today's topic is what happens when a buyer and a seller have already retained or have been accustomed to utilizing one attorney, the same attorney. I mean, who defaults and who's to get the choice of which one goes first and who had the attorney. They were both settled on an attorney. We want to talk about that today. What are the next steps if you both have the same attorney initially, and what steps you have to do to move the deal forward. So we're available to you every day except Christmas and Easter. Our phone is answered from 7:30 a.m. till 9:30 p.m. East Coast time. Our number is 201-663-0935. And our email is, our website is dentalpracticeguide.com. You'll also see we're adapting the name of Dental Practice Brokers Nationwide, or nationwidedentalpracticebrokers.com. The information you're about to hear is for entertainment purposes only, and it is not legal or business advice. If you're thinking about selling to a large DSO, they usually like to acquire larger ones. We'll be happy to work with you on that, and they'll often pay our commission, and sometimes we can get your legal fees reimbursed. So rather than going to them directly, we can help you pick and choose who the best ones we think for you are. Now, moving forward, what do you do in situations where both the buyer and seller, prior to getting the deal together, have already chosen an attorney and they've settled on attorney, or they may have bought multiple practices and want to use the same attorney? Are there any instances where both parties can use the same attorney at the same time? The answer is no, you can't do that. Now, you as a buyer or seller have to have a dental attorney representing them, and that's critical. You've got to have that. I mean, legally you can do it. One can have an attorney and the other not have an attorney. Don't advise that at all. You should never go there. You want a professional looking over your paperwork. Now, in instances, we had an instance where both the buyer and seller had previously used this one attorney and they want to use the attorney again. So what happened now, one of them defaulted. Somebody's going to have to default and get another attorney. How that happens and who's entitled, you have to negotiate. We as the broker can help. Generally, you want to make the buyer feel comfortable if possible, since they're new at this. And if you're a seller and you have a little more flexibility, I certainly suggest you default and take another dental attorney who we can recommend to you. But either way, you've got to negotiate it. Either one will retain the attorney they're accustomed to, and the other will default to another great dental attorney. But either way, you want to put this together. While we're on that subject, you always want to set up two attorneys, if possible, that have worked on the opposite side of the table together before. Got to get that together. Because once that happens, that means those attorneys have already gone through problems and issues and roadblocks. Now, we hit roadblocks on virtually every deal. Something happens. You want seasoned attorneys that have accomplished, and the roadblocks are always different, but seasoned attorneys who have encountered this before or have encountered a problem before. Two attorneys on the opposite side, while each will be representing their own client, have worked out issues before. They know how to work together and get through these problems. So this can happen, and you'll get through it. And we just had an experience like that. It was a nightmare where the landlord we may have mentioned it before, landlord 3 weeks before closing decides they're not going to be previously agreed to transfer the lease. And suddenly, they say, I'm not transferring the lease and I'm not giving you a 10-year lease. I'm like, what are we going to do? The bank drops out. The buyer doesn't have the money. But we worked it out. I think we talked about this on a previous thing. The two attorneys who were on opposite sides of the negotiation, obviously, had been through roadblocks before and issues and problems before. We worked it out. Essentially, the seller wound up holding the mortgage. The buyer wound up becoming a subtenant of the seller. The seller wanted to get rid of it. The buyer was anxious and could make something happen. The buyer was going to keep his main job, so he had a source of income, and was going to get help from the seller to work it out a little bit. A problem, of course, is it's risk. We don't ever recommend that at all, that the seller to hold paper, but we had to do it. These two attorneys put the deal together. You've got to use dental attorney, whether it's in the States or overseas here. You've got to have representatives that can look beyond, look clearly, that have been through these problems before. Once again, the key is dental attorneys. In this situation, as we've said, both you had the same attorneys. The seller is defaulting to another dental attorney, and that's it. Well, they're calling me. Our journey is going on here. I don't know where we're up. I think we're going to Dingle today in Ireland. You've got to come out here. It's just remarkable. The streets are clean, and it doesn't appear. It's just a wonderful climate here. And the people are wonderful. They share what they're doing. They're kind to each other. And you don't have the crime that we have back in the States. It's pretty interesting here. It is a little chilly, about 55 degrees right now, but we're moving on. So we'll find out what's going. And also, before I forget, DSOs are coming around in Europe. It's easier to make them happen. So they're growing, not as fast as the States, but they're growing. Also in Canada. So we're going to be exploring. We will be going to Canada at one point, but we're now here in Europe, finding out what's going on in Europe, meeting other dentists, and we'll try to keep you posted on how things are going. All right? Nice chatting with you. My team is moving on, and it's time to cruise. I have to get back on the bus. Goodbye.